Mike, I was excited. In fact, my wife came down and thought either somebody was in the house or I was having a heart attack. I hollered out the one time during the NBA Finals.
I'm glad it wasn't either of those first two things.
There's going to be other games that go on here, but I want to talk about a couple of specific things that have taken place during the first three games in the series.
Okay.
The Spurs are now up 2-1 in the series. The three-point shooting that both teams are putting on, it's been phenomenal. The accuracy, but just the amount of attempts as well. I'm seeing a new trend, I think, in the NBA, and you're starting to see this, and this could apply with the local team, Philadelphia 76ers. When you hear about there's the thought process of shooting the three or shooting very high percentage shots, and that's what both of these teams really try to do in the Miami Heat and the Spurs. Last night was fantastic. One time, if I could have my Twitter account going, Gary, the microwave knee. I thought he was like Vinnie Johnson-esque out there. And the second half, Green starts doing it for the Spurs, Danny Green, and Mike Miller for the Heat. It just a couple times his shots didn't touch anything. It just,
Yeah, we were talking earlier about both of those three guys all three of those guys that you mentioned, Starkey, are just gorgeous, mechanically perfect jump shots. And when they showed them in super slow motion a couple times last night, and this is a clinic. And I always used to be amused when people used to say NBA players can't shoot. Well, if you think NBA players can't shoot and you watched that last night, then you're trying to be stupid, okay? It's what you talked about a minute ago about the evolution of the game. It wasn't that long ago that people used to bemoan the lack of nobody has a mid-range game anymore. Well, it's become increasingly obvious that is a conscious thing. People want to get to the foul line, they want to get to the arc, and they want to get to the rim. That's how you score in modern basketball, modern pro basketball, and that's certainly the Sixers now have a guy calling the shots, running the basketball operation, who totally embraces that. Now, whether he can put the pieces together to actually make it happen, I mean, anybody can say it, is another question. But certainly that approach, which you're seeing so much of in these NBA Finals and these NBA playoffs, the Sixers want to go that way. We'll see if they can.
We're talking about Sam Hinkie. It's partially of a European-style spreading the court, but you only keep the court spread if you're going to hit those shots, and you're seeing that. I wasn't a huge fan of the three-point shot. I like close-in basketball. But if you're going to make it like this, and this Finals, as much as we said about the superstars, it's coming down to, and every final has a role player step up. Look at guys like Robert Horry over the years, AC Green, even Byron Scott became a very good player. But the Lakers for a while, Magic and Kareem, Byron Scott hit the big shots. But look at this Finals: LeBron, Duncan, Parker. They've had their moments, but it came down to Mike Miller in Game 2 and Game 3. It's Neal and Green, and this series will be decided on these role players more, I think, than the superstars who negate each other.
How many guys are there in the NBA who are on the Sacramento Kings or the Washington Wizards or whatever who could do that if they were put in that situation? Right. And would Neal be a guy that we even know exists if he was on the Sacramento Kings? That's what's sort of interesting about this. Doug Collins was on ESPN Radio this morning. He said a really interesting thing about what we're talking about. The way he used to talk to his guys about defenses, think about it like it's your kids. When your kids are driving you nuts, you want them out of the house. They can play in the yard, but they don't go outside the fence. Well, think of the three-point line as the fence. Yeah. Think of the lane as the house, and then the yard is inside the three-point line. That's how you sort of. That's the modern NBA.
But the amount of time that these role players have spent in the gym to perfect those shots like you talk about, these perfect square-ups, the way it's just phenomenal. And if Doug Collins' teams could shoot like that, he'd still be playing or he'd still be coaching right now.
That's for sure.